lonesome? It was feeling kind of quiet, yes.
How you doing? How you doing?
Okay. We had a good and interesting time last evening with a friend of ours from Palestine.
Oh, yes, I've heard about it.
It's a person.
How's she doing?
Yeah. And she's doing okay. I don't know if you know this, we met her in the early 2000s with this Presbyterian Joining Hands Against Hunger program, and ran into her again at another Joining Hands meeting in Tacoma, Washington a couple of years later, and we tracked her. And in the process, she had a kid who was born in the United States 18 years ago, and she has brought him to the U.S. to finish his high school. He's a Senate citizen. And that's kind of a struggle in some ways, you know, dealing with a 19-year-old kid in a strange culture. I know that, but she's come and gone. She's working on getting the right kind of documentation and papers to be able to work in the U.S. because she's got a Islamic, maybe it's a mosque or something like that in Charlotte area that would like to hire her to be a support person for Islamic and Muslim-speaking immigrants. So,
What does she say about the news from Palestine?
well, it's awful. It's like family members killed, and what she predicted at the beginning is playing out. Whether they created the opportunity or not, and I think there's a chance they did. The Israeli government is taking advantage of this moment to destroy Gaza, to run everybody out, make everybody want to leave. So you've got millions of people piled up at the border, being harassed all the time, and right now, our friend, she still has family members in Gaza, and the Egyptians are charging $5,000 a head to let people cross the border with a coyote kind of thing. So they have three family members who desperately need to get out. She told us yesterday. She set up one of her daughters set up a GoFundMe, and they have raised the money necessary to get those three people out. And today, actually, the person who decided that, who's I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a family member also, will be beginning the process of getting everything in place so they can leave.
Good morning. No, I'm good. I'm gonna step over. Okay. Miss Tyler.
She's going to Charlotte. She's back again.
Hey, Tyler, good morning.
Her son is staying in a house, and interesting people that have basically given her the use of an apartment that they have on their property. So, a couple I had not met before, I just heard their names. She's from India, very articulate, interesting. He also, and he has history, he grew up as a Quaker. And
How are things?
through Quaker connections and stuff like that.
So, did you ever resolve that ADT thing?
Never heard back from MRA.
history.
Oh, you never heard back from the MRA? Don't worry about it. What about your ADT? Your security up in your home in Raleigh?
Yeah, didn't forget it. They wanted almost $600.
Yeah.
A month?
No,
I'll let Judy
get the setup fee.
If somebody lived there, it'd be different, but it was probably a one and done deal. Somebody came in and broke in, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, figured if it was,
Are there neighbors on the left and the right?
yeah. I figured if I can get it for 200, then
You could get those ones you buy at like Lowe's or Home Depot. You can monitor them. I think they're wireless.
I'm struggling with that kind of stuff
I just
too.
put up a camera and
The
that's
camera, exactly. How
Figure
about,
out things
you know what
that
else
we could
works?
do as a
A motion
committee
light.
that would-
what I got those two. So.
That works because light scares away
that would make us more
noise
effective.
and light. Burglars, they work.
Yeah, I got
Okay,
that.
so it is
Yeah, or that dollar,
precisely 9:30.
dollar light.
There's all this stuff. Oh,
Yeah. Yes. It's time, so I think I'll call us to order and we can proceed with things. Did you pick up if you didn't get ones I sent to you, minutes and agenda and other stuff is there on the end of the table.
Oh, this water bridge and all that, that's included.
Hey, Tyler,
This-
Brad, we can't do anything without that. We can't approve the agenda, we can't approve minutes, we don't have a form. Let's take a vote.
You said we don't have a quorum?
We can't adopt the agenda, we can't approve the minutes because that takes a form.
How much is it? But
we have a
we're only missing one member.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, we have one. We're only missing
Yeah,
one.
it's kind of weird because we're a small committee, and that's where everybody counts because a quorum out of 5 is 3. And so,
I'm so used to it.
but if we're missing 2, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
So, I did communicate with Ed, and not your Ed, with Mason, and he said he was out of town, that he was going to try to log in and listen in during a meeting on Zoom. And in case everybody wants getting any ideas, if you can do that and you can listen and as far as I'm concerned, any member of the committee can also speak up during the meeting. The thing you cannot do, because it's not legal, is vote. You have to be in the room to be able to vote on anything. So that's the situation. Say hi to Daniel.
Hey, Dan.
So, I would like to ask you to look at the minutes and to look at the agenda. Making sure that we've covered everything that we need to. If something, business or whatever that is needed,
Thanks.
that needs to be on one of these pieces of paper, and it's
The
not.
minutes, right, okay. These are
Speak
the
up.
minutes?
So,
Oh, yeah.
That's not the one.
Oh,
You
that's-
got in the other, it's not the right one.
over at the end of the table, tree board minutes and a team.
Tyler, get me a copy, would you please? Thanks.
Was that the stuff from, that was from the town council meeting, I think. But I had troubles juggling paper today, so it would not be, it would not be all that surprising if I got the wrong thing. But moving on with the agenda as is, well, first of all, we need to take a moment of silence. So let's take a moment for silent reflection. Okay. So number 2 item on the agenda is the agenda. If you haven't had an opportunity to look over it, again, take a moment and see if there's anything that should be on there that is not. This is the moment to add things if need be.
Undo the old business, again, discuss the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that?
Did I miss that, or is it there?
It's-
More budget
it's there.
discussion. Yeah, okay, I see it. Okay, sorry. How about the right-of-way procedures that we talked about at the last meeting?
Good question. It would be old business, and I didn't get it on there.
Okay, we can defer it to the next meeting.
Well, we'll put it in, I'll put it in there, after Arbor Day. And we can,
What about I couldn't make it because I had COVID, but did you, the Chestnut Foundation activities, are you going to report on that?
we did talk about it,
They were on the 19th of March?
yes. I'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Now. Anything else? So I've got the right-of-way issue I'm adding to the agenda after Arbor Day. And in my report, I'll include some comments about the Chestnut event. Is there anything else we need to add? Okay. So with any other, if there's not any more additions, all those in favor of accepting the agenda as presented?
I move that we accept the agenda.
Okay. No objection? Okay. All right, moving on, minutes. These are minutes from February. The January minutes are still in process. They exist as a video recording of the meeting that haven't been transcribed yet.
I move to accept the minutes of
Okay. No, you didn't. You didn't. Not at all. I'm just saying it seems to me like we don't really have to second and all of that, but that's, I guess, the proper thing to do. So I'll second it. Any comments about minutes? So all those in favor of the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Okay. So they've been approved. Okay. So, I'm so accustomed to seeing Mary here, and she is not here this morning, our resident public. So Daniel, you could count as public, but you can also report for Public Works. So let's just move along. Okay, so as Ed is reminding us, there was this event that was, it's actually two events that were held on the 19th of this month in Castaway Park, something like that, in West Asheville. And it's sponsored by a community organization that's concerned about trees. And part of what they're doing is in kind of cleaning up their nice little park that's there. They discovered that some previous people had been planting fruit trees of different sorts on this bank. And that's gotten a lot of cleanup, and they're in the process of adding chestnuts to the place where the fruit trees are. So they've got an edible forest, is the way they were referring to it there. At least that's the hope. It was good to meet them. There were not a lot of people that attended in terms of looking for training. And the idea was to spend a bit of time in the afternoon learning how to plant chestnuts and then how to care for an edible forest. And that latter got hardly much attention at all. They did spend some time talking about how to plant both the saplings, the little trees, and also from seed, and talked about nutrition and watering and all the things you do when you're planting things, and it was well done, and I for one appreciated it, because I'm often have been pretty uncertain about what to do with those trees that they give you or sell you, because you can buy trees from the Chestnut Foundation. They may be wild chestnuts with a kind of an unknown pedigree, or they may be, if you get seeds, there's good chance that they're ones that have been through a few generations of backcross, they call it, of hybridizing the seed to improve their survivability. So then later in the day, had some pizza at a different venue, and then they showed that that pizza place has a movie theater in the back where they show free movies, and the Chestnut Foundation has this movie called Clear Day Thunder, which I'd like y'all to see it, and I'd like us to maybe try to create an event where we can have it shown for the public, because I think it's worth seeing. It's dated, a little dated in one sense, because a lot of what's in there, you can tell from the what people are saying, that it's people have in mind the genetically modified, there's called Darling 58, I think was the name of the strain of trees. But sometime within the last few months, it's been discovered that a mistake had been made in the creation of the Darling 58, the gene splicing that was done for that. So it was really pretty exciting to have a tree that was gonna actually be resistant. But it turns out that's not the case, and so they're falling back now on what they've been doing all along is the crossbreed. I'm sorry, what?
Tree board.
Tree board,
Tree
yes.
board.
You may. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Abby Lee.
I've been hearing your name.
Sorry?
I've heard your name, yes.
Okay, all right, cool. I work for Emerging College. So I'm the lab instructor over there, and we do stuff with Logic Garden and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you're here, we'll sit down and I'm going to work you into the agenda, actually. So we need to hear from you. Thanks for coming. I'm reporting on this event that happened last week with the Chestnut Foundation. They did training things, and including showing a film called Clear Day Thunder. That's about the history of the chestnut and the blight and stuff that it's affected and what's been done to try to deal with blight. And because the way they put it the other day is that essentially the chestnut tree is functionally extinct. There are still some trees that are hanging in there. That have some natural resistance. They're not, but it's only few and far between the trees, and for all intents and purposes, it's extinct. One thing that happens with chestnuts that were massive trees. With big root systems, and chestnuts like to send up sprouts, little shoots. And so what is happening is that the blight came and killed all the trees, but the root systems are still there. And so we still have many chestnuts in that state that are here right in Montreat, and occasionally one will survive long enough to survive a few decades of life before it succumbs to the blight. And in the process, if things have gone well for it, it will have been able to produce a bunch of seed, and those seeds can be used. So and strategies to capture the genome of those blighted trees is part of the strategy that the Chestnut Foundation uses. I mentioned the genetically modified version that there's a lot high hopes for there, which has turned out to be a bust because of a mistake that was made that was only just recently discovered. So they're kind of falling back on these older processes of interbreeding different varieties of trees. And we think of the American chestnut as a single species, and in fact the focus has been on a single species. But in fact, there's not a single chestnut. There's a bunch of them, a number of them and so the and you know, there's also the Chinese chestnut and the European chestnut, which have not succumbed to blight. And so there's chestnuts that can be interbred where they offer some hope by a different route of obtaining a tree that will survive over time. It turns out that like if you go in the grocery store, you see chestnuts. Those are most likely Chinese chestnuts, because the seed of the Chinese chestnut is that nice, comfortable size. The seed of the American chestnut is smaller, and so you can kind of tell what you're getting by the size of the seed that's there. But the American chestnut trees are enormous. They're you see some of the old photographs, and they're just huge. They're well over 100 feet tall, and they're enormous at the base, and really beautiful trees. The pews in the Anderson Auditorium are made from trees that came down in this area, and it's beautiful wood. So anyway, that's a distillation of stuff that was talked about at the meeting.
Do they, were they able to figure out what caused the blight, or have
Oh
they?
yeah, it's a fungus.
Are they able to deal with that now, or is it's still an active fungus?
They haven't found any way to deal with the fungus directly.
No.
Yeah, it comes, it's in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily damage any other trees. And what happens is that the fungus gets in the system of the tree, and at some point, particularly where there's been a wound, it'll develop a canker, and that canker over time will go all the way around the tree, which kills the tree. It girdles the tree, and that's the end of the tree above that, but it's still living down below. So no, I don't know if there's current research on how to directly attack the fungus, but if you know anything about fungi, they're pretty persistent wherever they are, and it's everywhere. And we have all of us have fungus in us. So. Okay, so Arbor Day 24. So we remember the native plant sale is scheduled for May 4, and at our last meeting we said yes, we're going to continue to link Arbor Day with the native plant sale again this year, although we had a little more discussion about how it's one of these times we may do Arbor Day at a separate time. But for this year, it's going to be joined together. Native plant sale is a land care thing. And I'm wondering if you have any input for us, Arrington, about the land care side of this.
Well, right now, I'm concerned with the issue of the tents. And I talked to Betty Douglas this morning, and evidently, we've got to supply our own tents. So, Tree Board is going to have to find a tent, and they're not going to put it up. That's my understanding for Betty. Land Care's got to find a tent from somewhere. but they're not gonna put it up. I don't know how to put up a tent. I mean, it's a problem facing both of us. So that's my dilemma at the moment for land care and for tree board too. They will supply a table for each of us and 2 chairs. If anybody's volunteers need more than 2 chairs, they're gonna have to BYOC.
And I said, we need, I think it's 3 tables I've counted up that we need, and,
I don't know how many you need. You did. I remember you told Betty that, yeah.
yeah.
When you say they, who is a they?
Hmm?
When you said they won't put it up, who is they?
Betty Douglas's native plant sale volunteers.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, not only are we going to have to find our own tents, we're going to have to put it up. I'm just kind of praying it won't rain. I'm not going to put up a tent.
How was it done previously?
There have been tents, but it's been always the same situation.
Oh, okay.
There are some tents in the community, and people may be able to borrow a tent, but I don't know who that is.
Okay.
Well, Martha and Gil Camel have a tent that was broken down last year in the process of the takedown in the pouring down rain. So that tent was broken. I don't know whether they've got another one or not. There is a land care tent that Gracie has, but even if she gets it over there, there's nobody to put it up. That's where it is. I'm kind of, huh?
So it sounds like we need to, everybody needs to be working on finding tents.
Yeah.
Actually, Jean did this morning was doing internet research on a tent that she and I could buy, so we could have one of our own.
For a tree board.
Well, we were just talking about a personal
Family tent.
family tent that we would, of course, lend to somebody during that time. And now I can let everybody know the costs of what she's finding. There's different qualities that are there, but
Well,
what I was going to say is that we should locate as many tents as we can, and then figure out a strategy where we can have a tent erecting party the day before or something.
yeah, and cross your fingers for the weather. In the olden days, we used to get the tents from the funeral homes for advertising, because I don't know how proper it would be at the native plant sale to have the funeral home for Black Mountain with their advertising across the top. I don't think that would fly these days. Anyway,
When do you plant till 9 to? What time would we have to be there? 9 to?
8 o'clock to set up. Now, if the weather's good, we can set up on Friday afternoon at 4.
So will we have to be there from 9 or 8 to
2.
2?
But you know, find volunteers to staff that. I mean, I've got volunteers for land care that are going to do, for Bearwise, that are going to do 9 to 11:30 and 11:30 to 2, which is a 2.5-hour shift for each group.
So one of the things that we need to do is, and I was thinking that we'd do this a little closer to the event, but is decide how we want to do this, the manning, peopling of the table.
Yeah, staff those tents, staff that table.
Break it up.
Staff is a good
Would be next meeting.
Yeah.
That'd be April, and then a week later,
I have some documentation, some pamphlets and things that can be there for the table. They're the sort of things that are kind of generic, and some of them talk about, diseased trees, hemlocks, for example, and such. But one of the questions, Ed, maybe it's been resolved already, is the treasured trees participation. How
Right.
is that going to be looking?
So I spoke with them last week, and they're on board. They will be at the event on the 4th of May. They will come prepared. I spoke with Betty, and there'll be a table for them. They have their own literature. I'm a little bit out of it today. I'm just getting over COVID, so I apologize. They do a lot of social media advertising. They expect 50 to 75. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So they do a tremendous amount of social media advertising. They're expecting 50 to 75 of their organizational people to show up for the plant sale and the treasure tree dedication, which I'll get into in a minute. I'll just go into the whole report. The map, the Montreat walking map should be ready for that event as well, an addendum, in addition to the regular treasure tree map, which they put out. Ours will be an addendum now at this point until the new one actually is printed up. The thing that is still, and they will man their own table. What still needs to be discussed, and they're open to it, is they want to do a walk of the treasure trees. And let me hand this out to you at this point. I think there's, oh wait, here's three. These are the treasure trees. These are their addresses. These are their ages. And maybe somebody can identify with that last column. Would you like a copy? In the audience? Dan, would you like a copy? All right. And there's a hemlock on here as a treasure tree. Does anybody know in the far right column, here, Dan, the far right column what DBH means? DBH? I have no idea. Oh, that's right, you're an arborist. I should have asked you. What's it mean, Dan?
Diameter breast height, so it's about 4 feet-ish.
How big around is the tree?
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, thank you. All right, so these are the treasure trees. These are locations. These are the scientific names. These are the estimated years, which were done by an arborist, of how old these trees are. As you can see, one tree is 200 years old. Anyway, so since I had COVID the last 3 weeks, unfortunately, I fell a little bit behind in selling the plaques, but I have till the end of the week, which I think will be fine. They're going to want to, there's 14 trees on here, as you can see. I think they want to do 4 or 5 or 6 of the actual dedications. And since I'm going to make a plug right now, if anybody wants to buy a plaque, put it in memory of, in honor of, $100, one-time charge. Yeah. So I've got 4 sold already, by the way. So if you're interested, just let me know. And this will be applied to all the trees. I think we discussed how they go on. They go in spring-loaded type of attachment, so the plaque grows with the tree. Okay? Anyway, so what needs to be decided, and Arrington, we can talk about this, they want to do a tour on that day. They don't want to take away from the plant sale. So in other words, they don't want to pull people away. Hey, we're going to have a treasure tree walk right now. We're going to be applying this and talk about the tree with their arborist. So I told them we end at 2 o'clock, I believe. Is that correct?
We end at 2.
Okay, so they're willing to wait till 2 and they'll have their table. They're willing to say, okay, the sale's over. Now we're going to do our walk of the trees, apply some of the plaques to the trees, a little history of the individual trees. So they're open. They're very nice people. They're open to.
I'm looking at your tree
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I'm confused about this one.
Which one? What number?
Hang on. It's M6.
M6.
At the corner of Assembly, Louisiana,
Right.
and what?
Oh, that would probably be, I did the walk with them. That's Assembly and Louisiana.
Okay.
I'm 99% sure. 'Cause
Okay,
we
I was
never,
wondering.
Dan, you were with us. We never really went up Louisiana.
No, we stayed in between the pathway
Yeah.
and Assembly Drive,
Yeah.
because once you cross the pathway, that's all over right away. So there is, I think there might be, maybe it is even the tulip poplars just on the other side of the pathway, but they're all, the trees that are marked with names that would be along Assembly Drive, they're gonna be right along in between the pathway or close to it.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
So they're on board to be here during the hours of the plant sale. They'll do a tour. We give them the hour they want to do. We want them to do the tour.
What about, we did 2 different, going out and putting up 2 or 3 plants of people that wanna come early morning, but don't wanna come back late in the day.
I think I'll have to coordinate that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, just like 9:30, we're gonna do 2 of them, and then at 2:15,
Oh,
we'll do,
okay.
so that people wanna get in and out and early for the day, can get it done in late afternoon.
So are you suggesting 2 different walks?
Yeah, like at 9:30.
Okay, I think they're open to that.
2:15,
Fine, they're open, I know they're open to that. I spoke to them this last
Or-
week, end of last week.
or even 10,
What they don't want to do is take away from the plant sale.
yeah. Somebody-
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly. So they don't want to say, and everybody gets pulled.
At 9, so they,
What do you want to do? You're,
Like 10:30 and 2:15, so that gives people an hour and a half before, or they can go do the thing and then,
I mean, they're open to it, so just, all I have to do is suggest to them and they'll do it. So what do you think, Eric?
I think that the walk at 4:15 is appropriate. I don't want to do anything that's
2:15.
going to take away,
2:15.
2:15, anything that's going to take people out of the plant sale. We have vendors coming.
Right.
We need the public
Right,
there,
okay.
not walking up down
Okay,
Assembly
so I'm
Road.
going to make
I
a
think
suggestion at 2:15. We do the walk.
2:15,
2:15, that's what you want, right?
yep.
Okay, fine.
Thank
They're
you.
open to that.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, so it's gonna, you know, and they, like I said, they do a tremendous amount of social media advertising. So they say they should get 50 to 75 people of their own people.
That's great.
If anybody wants to buy a tree or dedicate a tree, not buy, let me know, please. Any other questions or suggestions?
Okay, yeah, well, it's part of my report. But you asked the question I'm not sure I can get right. So you may remember part of in the meeting last month, I ended up saying that I would, because the question has come up about having software that can be used by us to for mapping of trees is the biggest thing, and I know that you may have seen the map that we had from the inventory that was done a few years ago, and it's a satellite version map. Well, it's a satellite picture with the positions of trees superimposed on it, and it's a very useful thing. At the time that that inventory was done, we had an intern, a paid intern who knew how to work with the GIS system, and that's how that came about. That was done. If you look at on the town website and the maps and stuff, you'll come across a section where it talks about GIS maps. And GIS, I'm not exactly sure what it stands for. It may be government.
It's geographical
Right.
Geographical, what?
information system.
Oh, thanks.
So I started looking at that, and you can do online training for using this system. The thing about it is that it's global in scope, you know, literally global in scope, and it's just really massive. It can do just about anything you want to do in terms of tracking trees or people or, you know, boundaries, just many things that it's able to do. And I think, but you have to know how to do it. So that's where I'm at right now with my personal research is to learn, how do you learn, how do you learn it? Not even how do you work it, but how do you learn how to learn it? Very early stages here, but I still think that that software is probably the most capable if we can figure out a way of accessing what it's capable of doing. So, okay, so I said chestnuts. Did I already talk about the 19th? What happened on the 19th?
You did.
Yeah, I did. Okay, sorry. So let's move on then in our agenda. Mason, are you listening in?
Can you talk?
Yeah, yeah. When you're not in the room, you can't vote. But if a tree board member is online and wishes to speak, we can allow that to happen. But I'm not hearing from Mason, so maybe he didn't make it today. So moving on, land care chair. Arrington, do you have any other?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay. And Savannah is not present. Public Works. Daniel Wiggs is our Public Works representative.
Public Works does not have anything to report at this time. We've just been working on trees that have been brought to the town's attention to take care of. We've taken down about 15 trees in the last 2 weeks that were dead or very poor condition. That's about all I have to report. We're almost ready to hit the last of the inventory. We were one tree away, and then we got a call about some more. So we're very close to getting back on the inventory and have a small section from Louisiana to the top of Graybeard, which will knock out pretty quick, I hope.
Daniel, I have a question. I think maybe I asked this somewhere. There are 3 really dead trees that are down and need to be removed next to 16 Alabama, next to Maury Gramling.
Yes,
And isn't that your right of way?
well, actually, the trees that we've gotten the ash tree up, and there's an oak tree that's leaning, and that is on private property.
But
that white oak tree is off of the right of way, and there is some danger of property damage if we were to try to remove that tree. So we've talked to Mr. Peel and explained to him that he'll have to take it up.
So it's his problem, not
It
Ms.
is
Gramling's.
somebody else's other than the town's issue.
Okay, so you got rid of 2 of the dead trees.
Yes.
So there's 1 left,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Well, doesn't that have its roots in the right of way?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That if we're talking about the same tree that came down next to Mr. Peel's house, in between is the Maury has the yellow houses. Am I thinking
yeah.
correct?
And
Okay.
these are the trees in between.
Yes, ma'am. Barry and I removed the ash trees, which were on the right of way,
Okay.
and removed all the debris, left the wood for Mr. Peel.
Great.
And explained to him that white oak is broke off about 16 feet
I know.
above the ground level. And unfortunately, it's not on the town right away and will have to be removed by a homeowner.
I think it's sitting on Maury Gramling's fence. Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And if we were to do anything with it and cause any further damage, the town's just not willing to pay for that, I'm sure, to deal with it since it's on private property.
Thank you for taking care of what you did.
Well, you're very welcome. We try to do all we can, that's for sure.
You do a great job.
I do apologize. I've got to excuse myself from the meeting. We have a bulk pickup to go get, and Drew needs some help doing that. It's got some heavy stuff in it, so we're going to go grab a piece of machinery and get moving, but
Okay, just
Thank you.
one quick question
Yes,
or
sir.
comment. At our last meeting, we kind of nominated Tyler to be a communicator between the board and the Public Works, and since he works in town and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to mention that, and the more that y'all can develop a way of talking about what's important, that would be helpful.
absolutely. Well, we're always around, and Tyler makes his presence well known with us, so Well, I'm sure if he sees anything or hears anything, he can mention it to us, and we'll try to
Okay.
get it taken care of.
Right. Thank you.
Everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank
you for coming in, and I appreciate all your good work for what you're doing for the hemlocks and for the town trees and teaching those kids up there what the right way to do things, man. Thank y'all. Have a good
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we're moving on with reports. I think we've come to the at-large members. Ed, do you have anything more to say?
Well, we talked about the treasure tree setup, and I think we got that pretty well covered. The other thing which we talked about at the last meeting was I did contact the city of Asheville, and I left a message for it. He's in and out of the office. He's called the Urban Forester. His name is Keith Atkin, and the city of Asheville does have an Urban Forest Commission, which does meet the first Tuesday of every month at the city building. They meet the second Tuesday of every month, and
Could you speak into the
oh,
microphone?
wasn't I speaking into it?
Yeah, it's not that sensitive, and
All
it's
right.
important to...
Okay, all right, is that better?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, so, quickly, I contacted the city of Asheville. They have a commission called the Urban Forest Commission, and the urban forester's name is Keith Atkin. They meet the first Tuesday of the month in the city building downtown Asheville. It is actually a Zoom session as well, and I have been told whatever resources they have, they would be glad to share with us as a tree board, which their resources are extensive, as you can imagine, being the city of Asheville. So just waiting to hear back from him. He's in and out of the office a lot, and I just have to chase him down, which I'm good at.
Maybe at some point we could do a field trip and learn from them.
Well,
How they
yes,
do
I'm going
that.
to make a lot of suggestions to him once I get in front of him. If it takes a return call, fine. If it takes me to sitting outside of his office, I'll do that. So hopefully I'll have contact made with him before our next meeting,
Okay, great.
okay?
Okay.
I talked about the tree board, the treasure tree program, and I think that is about all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Tyler, do you have input for us?
Nothing much right now. Just see if we can get all the tree inventory done and try to get place looking decent up there that are falling or dead, and not much else to have right
Okay.
now.
That's fine. It's not required, but everybody has an opportunity to speak. You know, we have, I keep saying this, but it's really a thing for us to be thinking about as a board. The Arbor Day, for example, was created in a town in the plains of the country, and the first Arbor Day they planted 1 million trees or some huge number of trees because they didn't have any trees. And out of that grew the Arbor Day organization, and the emphasis was then and still is on planting trees. We probably need to be thinning trees here in Montreat. So it's a different situation, but the management of the forest is. So I'm being just. Oh, by the way, Mason's texted Tyler and says he's listening. Oh, says let Brad know I met with Barry earlier this week, and staff is on schedule to remove all the dead trees that are planned to be removed. Yeah, thank you, Mason. Yeah, maybe you didn't pick up, but Daniel was saying that they have one more tree to take care of from emergency kind of things, and then the way appears to be clear to get back on the list of inventory trees that need to be dealt with. And he says on up Graybeard. I don't know how far they got last year, but it's somewhere this side of the lake that they stopped last year. Okay, I think this might be a good time to talk about the hemlocks. Would you? I'm blanking on your name again. Abby. Yeah, right. Abby.
I do have one quick question.
Why don't you take the mic?
Yeah, one quick question. Do you guys know anything about the statewide initiative to wipe out the Bradford pear trees? Have you guys heard about that, or are you doing anything about it? I was just
I
curious.
keep hearing about it, Abby,
Uh-huh.
because they're so, they break off, they crack, they smell bad.
Yeah.
I think there was something in the paper about that not too long ago.
Yeah, maybe a
Am I
couple weeks
correct?
ago.
Huh?
Yeah. I think it was a couple weeks ago. Okay, well, this one's March 13, 2024. WLOS article. I can forward it to you if you want.
Maybe that's what I saw.
Yeah, yeah. But I was just curious if you guys were doing anything about it. Yeah. Okay.
Should we be? I asked that
Well,
in a
Can you give us a
positive way.
summation of what the issue is with those trees?
Well, yeah, I think like Arrington sort of mentioned, is it's become an issue because they are an invasive tree species. They go everywhere. They have lots of seeds, and when you cut them down, they are very prone to just sprout again in multiple locations wherever the roots were at. So you kind of really have to put some stump killer on it or something to actually get rid of it. But I think the other part of it is they're wanting to encourage people to start to plant more native trees, whatever that may be, if you want a maple or an oak or something like that. So yeah, basically just getting rid of the invasive plants and trying to promote native plant species in our region and across the state. So.
Do they still plant those trees? The Bartlett pears, are they still being planted?
I think they're still sold, so
Okay.
people are still
Okay.
planting them.
They can be really pretty trees initially.
Yeah, in the spring they're
but
beautiful.
then later you
yeah.
learn your mistake.
Yeah, it's not the best option for planting. Yeah.
So
Okay.
that brings up an interesting question. Do we have in Montreat, like an ordinance, a tree board ordinance, not to plant anything in this town other than native plants and trees?
It's probably a little bit grayer than you would wish,
Okay.
because the town doesn't interfere with people's right to plant things on their own property. But I think there is language there that discourages the use of non-natives. But I think it would be a good idea for us to review that and decide whether we think there needs to be any tweaking of the language to do that.
All right, maybe we'll put that on the agenda for next month. Take a look at the tree boards, or there are tree board variant ordinances for the town of Montreat. Maybe that has to be looked at to prevent or discourage the planting of non-native species in the town of Montreat.
Isn't there a list somewhere of invasive plants?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's put it on there.
Yeah, we can do
Ivy,
that.
stuff, yeah, they could go on invasive plants, can't they?
So,
Abby,
Yeah.
can't-
They can. Yeah.
we're kind of jumping on you having stood up here to talk about all different things, but is there more that you need to say about hemlock or?
I was gonna share more at the land care meeting, and I'll be able to probably have some more like actual numbers and statistical data and stuff. But I guess maybe to summarize what Montreat College is doing, for the past several years, we've collaborated with the Hemlock Restoration Initiative, HRI, and initially for several years what we did was we monitored for beetles, for the Laricobius beetles on the hemlock trees, because there were a bunch that were released years ago. And we were wondering, you know, are they still around? Are they doing their job? We kept finding them year after year after year, and we found them this year as well. So last year, HRI, they made the decision to begin something that's called the Hemlock Tree Health Assessment project. And basically what we're doing is we're identifying various hemlock tree species on campus, on the Montreat College campus, and also in the town, mostly on the campus though. And we've tagged them and numbered them and everything. And we're just assessing the health of the tree over time. So last year, in March, was the first time that we assessed these trees. There were 15 trees that we assessed. And this year, we came back and looked at those again. And what they're starting to do, HRI, what they're starting to do is they're taking pictures of the trees from multiple angles. So we also have a visual on how that tree is doing over years. So they have all the data, and they're going to, you know, put it in their spreadsheets and everything, and eventually share it with me. And we'll kind of be able to see, okay, you know, tree, you know, 1105 is doing better this year than it was last year, or this one's doing worse than it was last year, stuff like that. So it's just basically a program or a project that helps us determine, you know, is this tree okay? If it's okay, awesome, good, we'll just leave it alone. If it's not doing well, then the college or the town can make a decision on, all right, do we want to chemically treat this tree? HRI's advice with treating trees is selective chemical treatment. So if you have, you know, a big, beautiful hemlock that you're like, you know, I definitely don't want to lose this tree, you know, health-wise or completely, then we can treat it chemically. But you don't want to treat all the trees because the Laricobius beetles will leave, right? And it's not really necessary to treat all of them right now anyways. So we want the Laricobius beetles to stay here and to continue to, you know, put a little dent in the hemlock woolly adelgid population. But really you do kind of have to do chemicals too. And I don't know, there aren't necessarily any trees right now that I know off the top of my head that, you know, need chemical treatment right away. We may have to wait until next year for some more data, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So any questions there?
We have a tree designated M4 at 145 Assembly Drive that is on our list of treasured trees that is being developed, and it'd be interested to know what kind of condition it's in. I mean, it was beautiful enough that the people who did the walk to identify have said that should be a treasured tree. But I think that we had at least that one tree we would be interested in. So.
Right, yeah, sure. So I don't know exactly what it looks like. I don't know exactly where it is. But yeah, it'd be worth looking at, and if it needs to be treated chemically, because you identified it as, we want to keep this tree, we don't want to lose it. So that would be one that I would be like, yeah, you want to treat it, you know, whenever it needs it, I guess, chemically.
Are the beetles doing their job?
They put a little dent in the hemlock woolly adelgid population,
Right.
but the Laricobius beetles, they basically feed on just one generation of the hemlock woolly adelgid. The other generation of hemlock woolly adelgid, they are basically not being eaten by the Laricobius beetles because the Laricobius beetles aren't active during that generation. So Laricobius beetles do put a dent in it, but they're not the, means all to end all.
Are you seeing a lot of hemlock tree damage
Like in
currently?
everywhere or just in
Well, no, in
Montreat
the
or?
town of Montreat.
Oh, no, it seems like it's stayed pretty consistent
Oh, good.
over the
Good to
years.
know. Okay.
Because Montreat, they did treat chemically the trees years ago, and they released Laricobius beetles. So
Okay.
with both those treatments, the hemlocks have been, stable.
Do those treatments last more than a year, 5 years, 10 years?
It depends on which chemical you use. Imidacloprid is the more longer lasting chemical. I think it lasts like 7 or so years. And then dinotefuran is more of a short-lived chemical. And I don't know, any more detail about both those chemicals
Okay,
and,
I understand.
when to put them on the trees and such. But
Well, Dan's an arborist. He probably would know.
he would probably know.
This is kind of anecdotal. Before I moved back to Montreat several years ago, there was a row of small hemlocks along the street of Mississippi, lower Mississippi, on the property, and they were all infected. They all died and have been taken off. There's one big hemlock that's there that seems to be doing all right. There were also a number of hemlocks behind my house, and a lot of that was infected, and several of them we had taken out again because they were dying anyway. But one thing I've noticed that there were several trees that were infected that we didn't take out, and it kind of coincided with the introduction of the beetle. We're one block above Assembly Drive, and my take is that the beetles dealt with hemlocks along Assembly Drive, and then they migrated uphill and got into my backyard, and there are several trees that had been seriously ill that no longer are. I'm starting to see signs of them coming back, so it may have run its cycle, but it's interesting. I think it's effective, and the advantage of the beetles is that as living creatures, they continue to need things to eat. So they've done their thing for a few years now, and hopefully will continue to do so.
So
Yeah.
the beetles will last longer than the chemical treatments?
Correct. Yeah. Because
Okay. Yes.
we've found that over the years, the beetles, they stay in the area, they multiply, they also move around. They travel to your yard and the trees in your yard. So, they're going to stay around, but sometimes they're not, going to solve the problem completely.
I
So you may
understand.
need chemicals. Yeah.
That's a good
But-
report.
Yeah.
Thank you.
While I'm thinking about it, would you give me your address or your contact information,
Yeah. Sure.
just in case I need it sometime? I don't have any specific right now, but it seems like it'd be good. Oh. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess that's all I have to
Thank you, very nice.
share there.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. It's very
Sure.
Nice
Yeah.
update, very good update.
okay. Okay, so moving down, I guess we're getting into old business, budget discussion. We were, as I recall, where we left it was, we were talking about budget. We were going to be trying to come up with figures that we could submit to the council as a budget request. We had talked about just in general purposes, $1,000, and then another figure of $100 had been mentioned as a, sort of traditionally, that much has been available to us to use for publications, for example, in relating to Arbor Day or whatever. The item that I was mentioning earlier, the software and the potential costs there, I have not been able to come up with figures. There are other programs besides the GIS mapping program, but it seems to me like it's really, like I said, it's a global thing. It's very, very sophisticated and could be used, if we had the capability here in the town, it could be used here in Montreat in a number of different ways. All these trees we're talking about, we could put them on the map, you know, and we can track the movement of the woolly adelgid through the that's, you know, things like that that can be done on that, which could be a really powerful tool that we could use.
Brad, were you able to find out if we have any money left in our current year's budget?
Ed, I'm not sure that's a rollover,
Or what?
a rollover from one year to the
No, but I'm
next.
saying the current year that we're in, the current budget year we're
In
in.
current budget, I
Do
don't,
we have any money left in the current budget year?
You're reminding me that I didn't ask about that. So.
Because we had a budget though, right?
We had made a request.
No, in the
Current
current
year.
budget, did we have a budget? Not in the new one,
2023.
the 2023 budget. Did we have a budget? You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
And if
only
it was
because I'm not aware of
2023, if
anything
there
we
was-
spent it on.
If there was money left, it would not roll out over.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying is, I've been on the board for 6 months, and I don't know of any expenditures that we've made.
Right.
So,
you want me to go check? You want me to go check?
I mean, only because we have Arbor Day coming up, and maybe we can use some of that remaining money for Arbor Day on May 4th.
Do you want me to go check with Angie?
Well, it wouldn't hurt. Budget has been an extremely low priority in this board, as you may guess. And I don't know much at all about how things are managed on a town level about that, so.
Because part of our mission is outreach, and that takes money,
Yeah,
rather than a monthly board meeting.
okay. All right, so, waiting for Arrington to get back, I'm gonna move ahead, though. Next item would be right-of-way closures. The idea I have here is that we've talked about it, we think we understand the issues with the closures of right-of-way, and it's getting to be time, and there's no deadline on it, but getting to be time, I think, that we think about how the tree board wants to deal with right-of-ways, and whether we want to do a communication with the town council about right-of-ways.
I would suggest maybe we invite the town manager to our next board meeting to tell us the process of the right-of-way requests and how the tree
Okay.
board would be involved in that request.
We do not have a budget, she says.
We have what?
We do not have a 2023 budget.
So we never had one approved. Okay, got you. Thank you.
Which is, in this mysterious process of the budget, I remember very clearly having asked for money and being told it was being considered or approved or whatever, back, that would have been, a couple of years ago, but,
So are we going to make a request this year?
I think, I favor us making a reasonable request.
Okay.
just
All
to
right,
keep it
so do
before
we know
the-
when it's due to Savannah? Because last meeting, it was talked about that process is
They,
starting, or?
they finalized their budget, I think, at the end of June. But we need to have it to them before
By-
then, so.
Well,
So I would say we probably shouldn't go more beyond, say beyond the April meeting. If we were to decide or finalize our askings in April, then I think there'd be enough time to.
well, I don't know, but they have a protocol, so we don't want to miss the dates. I know they put together the budget. Do
I
you-
feel like we might have missed the date. Because when I was talking to Savannah about the, if we had one, she was looking at her computer and she said, no, I don't see a budget for, which makes me think they finalized their budget for 2024. But I'm
No,
just,
when I've asked about it, it's still a thing, it's not going to be finalized till June.
okay, good.
But not finalized is one thing, but have we made a request? Are we part of the
We have
final
not,
budget?
and
that-
again, when I've talked about with various town people, thank you, Abby, it's good to see you.
Take care.
When I've talked with various town people about money matters, the response is always kind of vague, and yes, there is a process, and it's still not clear whether that is specific things we are told we can do to make a request. That's very, very vague.
Okay, I'm going to ask that you appoint me to take on the responsibility to find out.
I can't
Take
do it.
on the responsibility to find out about the budget. I will take that responsibility on, if that's okay with the rest of the board members, and report back to you before the April meeting, probably within the next few days.
Okay, I'm all right with that.
Thank you.
Listening to see if Mason has anything to say. Okay, I think that would be good. It's been a mystery to me all along of how it's supposed to run, and nobody seems to know. But we're talking about right-of-way closures. So where are we about on that topic? My feeling is that there are some concerns that we have developed as a board about making sure the trees that we're responsible for are considered in the process of right-of-way closures, and questions like that. Are there other items that should go into the consideration about this?
Well, I think I suggested we should invite Savannah to the next meeting to discuss that, how the right-of-way procedure works in Montreat, and what the direct involvement of the tree board is or isn't.
Are you leaving us? In general, are you not able to stay through the meetings because you've left a few times? Right now, no, we don't. But your voice is needed. And
I like the rooms or that they were going to discuss that, so I can't make it.
sorry. See, okay, so treasured trees, Ed, you're,
I think we have that pretty well handled,
Okay.
unless someone has some questions or suggestions. But they're ready to roll, and I'm supporting them, what they do, and I just got to go out and the program's going to happen whether I get all the plaques spoken for or not. But they gave me to the end of this week. We actually gave me to the end of March, but with COVID, I couldn't do very much. But I'll get at least half of them sold, I'm sure, or spoken for. And they only want to put up 4 or 6 of them on May 4th anyway, because it would take a whole day to do all 14 of them. So we're good.
All right, so getting back to Arbor Day, we've had some conversation with Betty, who's the planner for the events, and we've said that we need a tree for the board, and is there a number of tables that the Treasured Trees group has said they need?
One table.
Just
One table.
Okay.
One table, 1 chair, 2 chairs would be great.
2 chairs is what comes with the
Okay,
tables.
great.
Um,
So they're
We
good.
need
And
more
I'll ask them,
tables.
they may have their own tent. I mean, they do a lot of events, so they may bring their own tent.
Could you find that out, whether they have a tent?
Absolutely, and I did write that down already, but I
Okay.
will ask them. But they're pretty self-sufficient in terms of staffing, tables, literature, programming, advertising. They're very self-sufficient.
So if you have a cloudy day, when it's not raining, then an event like this can be done without a tent.
For sure.
But if you have a raining day or a sunny day, it can be kind of miserable out there in the field where
Right.
there's no other protection.
Well, Betty told me that they would, if it's a rain day, they would move inside. They've plans to do that. I mean,
Inside.
I guess they're making arrangements to have a space where they can move people inside, either the tables or something like that.
Okay.
Because I guess they hold it on Moore Field, is that correct?
They do it on Moore Field. In the
Right.
past, we have used the room at the bottom of that building
Okay.
for indoor issues and for
Right.
presentations and stuff.
Right. There aren't
But
going to be
she
any
was-
presentations this year,
Yeah,
if I
She's
understand
telling
it.
me that that room is not available.
Okay. I mean, she told me that they're making arrangements to have an indoor space. Which room it is, I have no idea. But this year, there are no presenters. In fact, it's kind of an off year for them, is what she told me. Not a lot of vendors, no presenters. In fact, the Treasure Tree is going to maybe be the highlight.
Okay.
The vendor count is way down for lots of reasons.
Okay. All right. So, so we're just about done then. Down at the bottom of the Okay, pardon me, I'm reading my notes here. Okay, something I meant to say at the beginning was reference to the, what I'm calling the calendar, the planning calendar. You have one of these in your things. My idea is that this is just a ongoing list of issues that we need to address as a board, and I've put in some things that I'm aware of, and some of them are things we've been talking about, and some are not yet. But what I think would be very helpful for us, because this has worked well in other groups I've worked with in the past, is if at the end of a meeting we look at what we've talked about and identify things that need to go on to the agenda for the following month, or in some cases maybe it's not next month but it's 3 months from now, So I'd like to start having a regular bit of conversation just at the end of the day, in which we do that kind of thinking together. Because I think that putting our heads together is better than me trying to come up with things just by myself. So, are you willing to take a few minutes on that right now?
Absolutely. The only thing is November 26th, is that the meeting in November, we were going to move backwards? Is that, what day of the week is that? Is that a Tuesday or is that?
It's always Tuesday.
Right, so I know we talked about moving the Thanksgiving Day week meeting. I don't know if that reflects it or not.
The situation last year was that Thanksgiving was, I forget exactly, it interfered, we were not able to meet on that day. And
That was Thanksgiving week, is what you're saying. Thanksgiving was,
Right.
our meeting was Tuesday and the Thanksgiving was Thursday, so
Yeah,
it didn't work
something
out.
like that.
So this 26th, is
The-
this after
It's not,
Thanksgiving?
it's, I think it is after Thanksgiving.
Oh, it is, okay, then we're good.
It doesn't interfere. So when I looked at it, the only one where there seemed to be a conflict was with Christmas.
Okay, I see that's a week.
So I pushed that back on
Okay,
this
gotcha.
a week earlier. But left November as it would naturally
Okay,
fall.
That makes sense. It's after Thanksgiving, sure.
And just as a reminder, you see down at the bottom, it says it's January 28, 25.
Right?
That's our last meeting of this cycle. And the January meeting is always, identifying new members and electing new officers for the following year. So
Yeah.
it's
Well-
an important meeting.
What is, I'm looking at our membership list here, Tyler's, Arrington's, mine, the three of us, and yours as well. All of our terms expire on the 31st of January, 2025. So you're talking about 4 new members.
Right.
Okay.
Which is something that I have been intending to bring to the,
So it's gonna be a big changeover.
right. And I've tried over time to get this to the attention of the
Yeah.
commissioners. But we are coming up to this situation where next year, if things stay as they are, it'll be an entirely new board.
Correct. I'm surprised they don't cycle these members.
That's what I've tried to create happening, and we've lost members, and various factors have really frustrated the attempt to get it into the cycle. I think that it's, and it's actually, this is something that I have tree board organization in April on this. That's kind of what I was thinking about when I put that there, is that we need to, I think, do our job, which is to bring this situation to the attention of the Board of Commissioners. So because they're the ones who appoint members, and
Well, maybe you should make Mason, Commissioner Blake, aware of it, since he's our commissioner representative, and see what his input would be.
he's aware. I've
Okay.
made him aware, but I
Okay.
think nothing, and I'm sure he will do what's needed there. I think as a board, I think we should speak up to
Okay.
directly communicate to the Board of Commissioners this concern.
I'll come up with a resolution for the next meeting,
Okay? All right.
in terms of speaking to the issue that we need to rotate the members on the tree board. And I'll make the motion, we'll discuss it, hopefully it'll pass, and we'll present it to the commissioners, either at a I mean, they have a commissioners meeting the second Tuesday of May. So you'll be able to present that for their consideration, or either at the public comments or during the discussion. I don't know exactly how it's done, but they'll be aware of it. They're open to it because they always push resident participation, and it's hard enough to find sometimes one member for a board, let alone four.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll be open to a solution.
And, yeah, I won't recount the history right now, but it's been frustrating for me.
Yeah, okay.
All
We got
along,
this.
but I think that would be
All right.
good, and if you do,
All right, I'll come up
if
with
you,
that.
if you do, help us come up with, a resolution, we can decide next month on what to do with it, how to present it to the
Yeah.
board, you know.
It's easy,
I'm
pretty easy.
assuming one person from the group would speak to the board.
Well, you
That
probably
could be-
should as our chair, but
Well, it
I-
could
I'll-
be anybody, you know, that's,
But I'll send it to you long before our next meeting,
Great.
within the next week,
Great.
as long as I don't have a relapse. It's kind of been a crazy deal lately.
Yep. So, yeah. Yeah, so, one, just, you know, things that would go into it, from my point of view, is just addressing the issue and maybe
A suggestion.
a possible solution.
Sure.
And asking them to find a way of implementing it.
I don't think it's a very difficult issue to deal with.
Yeah, if people pay attention.
They'll pay attention. I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you think.
If it's brought to their attention, they'll pay attention. I'm a big believer in that theory.
Okay. So, then I guess that's it, except I mean, back to the calendar thing. Are there other things that belong on the calendar that you don't see? Okay, so let me say this. This is not necessarily. I was trying to create a moment in our regular business where we can talk about the future plans, so like next month, Arbor Day planning, talking about tree inventory, talking about this issue with board organization, are things that do need to be on the calendar for next month, in addition to carryovers from what's on there already. We would add in some stuff about native trees on that too. But if at any time you discover something that needs to be on the agenda, let me know. It might go in initially as a
When do
new
you-
business thing, but
I mean, I appreciate the suggestion. When do you usually, and I don't remember, you get us the agenda, what, a week, 10 days beforehand? I think that's one of the keys, is to get us the agenda. I'm going to suggest 10 days before the meeting, because then that will give us some time to think and to suggest. But to get it to us a day or two before, it doesn't work.
I know.
It's not a criticism, it's just a suggestion. But I think 10 days before the agenda, the meeting, we should have the proposed agenda, additions, deletions, and then we can fill in what you just asked us to do. But to get it a day or two before, it doesn't really work that
okay.
well.
So
And that's
we've
not-
been functioning.
I'm not being critical. I'm
No,
just-
I know, but let me just, that's my frustration. You know, I have always favored having the minutes done within a week of the meeting, so that everybody can know what was done,
Okay.
what the plan is, and we can keep moving on. That,
I think we got that. I think, Tyler, you did,
At
I got
time.
them about 2 weeks ago. I got back to you, and I thought they were well-written and they were informative, so that was helpful. In fact, it helped me plan some of the things that I had to say today. But the agenda, what you're speaking to, I think that you would like input into that. We need to get more than 2 days before. Some of the other boards I sit on, like the Board of Adjustment, we get it 2 weeks ahead of time.
Having the minutes done in a timely way
It's key.
is key.
It's key.
And
It will help you
everything
build
kind
the
of-
agenda.
Right. And it has many times been, because the situation is that I've been doing it all.
Okay. Well, Tyler did the minutes this last time, right?
I've been working with Tyler to
Okay,
help him
whatever.
learn
I mean,
what
they
to do.
came from Tyler, which is great. But that worked out great. I mean, I'm actually the secretary for my synagogue, and it is a lot of work, I can tell you that. People talk too fast, and you have to go back and forth. But they are key to build the agenda. Absolutely, positively.
So.
So maybe we
it's a
should set
point
up,
with the
why don't
point-
we set up a protocol? Try to get the minutes within 2 weeks of the meeting, and try to get the agenda 10 days before the meeting. I don't know, that's just a thought. If it can be sooner, I mean, the agenda should, you know, maybe, I don't know, or 10 days from the meeting, we should have the minutes, and then 10 days from the meeting, we should have the agenda. It's just a thought. There should be a real set time frame. Minutes need to be done by, the agenda needs to be done by.
I agree.
Okay, there you go, solved. So, all right, we'll have the minutes in 10 days from today, and we'll have an agenda 10 days before the next meeting. Does that work? I mean, you guys are doing it. I mean, I'm not doing the minutes, I'm not. All right,
All right, so anything else we need to address? Then we're done.
okay, I move we adjourn.
Next meeting is on
April 23rd.
April 23rd.
All righty. Nice long meeting. And, okay, this can go off.
Yeah, it did run on, but
Okay.
we had a few things to do.
We talked about the weather. You guys ever had COVID? You ever had COVID? Have you had COVID? Have you had COVID? Lucky.
Not knowingly, but
No, well, that's.
what I've had is
Well, you
every,
know, if you had it, you would really know. Yeah, I just got over it. It's really been, I had it. I got over it, and then I got it again, or I got it worse, and it's really been a drag. I mean, in terms of.
yeah,
And I hadn't had it for 4 years. I mean, I was lucky. And I've been in crowds, been in Japan, I've been in Israel, crowds, planes. For some reason, I got it, working early voting for 2.5 weeks. Like, I know I got it right at the very end. I probably got it from the Republicans.
probably.
But, yeah, it's really bad. I tell you, I'll make a
I-
recommendation. If you do get it, you're healthy, I'm assuming you guys are healthy, no underlying conditions, do not take Paxlovid. I took Paxlovid, and it really was unnecessary. I think what it really did, for masking what I had, so my body said, oh, you don't have COVID anymore. Okay, and sure enough, after the it's a 5-day regimen. It's a pill for 5 days. As soon as it wears off, COVID's still there. Now, if you have underlying conditions, like my wife has underlying conditions, like lung issues, that makes sense, because you don't want to end up in the hospital. But if you're a healthy guy, with no underlying conditions, there is no need to take that. And some doctors won't even prescribe it for healthy people. My doctor, unfortunately, if you're wrong, you want to try it. That's the state of medicine today. You want to try it? When it comes to COVID.
Yeah, Gina and I have done as many vaccines as we,
I did them all.
as we could.
I did them all. I mean, I
And
did them all. I mean, I did the original 2 and the 4 boosters. I don't know, I lost count. I had to get another vaccination card to get so many boosters. They don't, by
Gee.
the way, they wear off. That's a guarantee. I mean, I'm thankful we had them, but they do wear off. I had one set of, we had one set of polio shots, right? I never had that polio again. I never got it. I needed boosters. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. we've done all that with the boosters and things, but I'm a guy that doesn't react to things.
Well, you're
Yeah.
getting antibodies, right? You must.
I got robust
You definitely.
stuff, because I'd
I've
never,
had it too. I mean, for 4 years, I never got it.
you know, it's one of those things where as soon as I say it out loud, it changes, but yeah, I never get sick. I've been like, maybe once every 4 years or something, I'll get a little bit of cold, but
I'm like Pfizer's best customer.
I'm not complaining.
I've had the RSV, I've had the pneumonia, I've had all the boosters, I've had the vaccinations, the flu. I'm like a prophet scientist. I think we all are, anyway, but anyway. All right, thank you.
What you need to do is get out there and amongst the trees. I'll help you.
There you go. Get some beetles. All right.
All right.
This is my least favorite weather, chilly and wet.